3. Sorry, guys, we're back. We had a technical difficulty on our end, but we're back on the show. Let's go back into the Tua Tagovailoa debate. Obviously, he's been rumored to go to the Dolphins or to the LA Chargers in the 4th and 5th spot, or possibly go as high as the Redskins, but that could be very clickbait rumor. Steven, where do you think Tua will land in the NFL Draft 2020?
I think Tua will end up to the LA Chargers. I think he'll go to the Chargers. He's from Hawaii, so LA on the West Coast, close to home for Tua. They've got weapons there in Mike Williams and Keenan Allen. They got the talented running back, Austin Eckler. I know Tyrod Taylor is there as the quarterback. He's a veteran guy, a guy that can keep everything in the road, very professional, mature young man. So I feel like the Chargers will draft to have him learn from Tyrod Taylor for about a year or so, make sure you get him fully good to go, and that he'll be able to roll from there. So Tua to the Chargers for me.
Justin Riley, of course, we've been hearing rumors about Justin Herbert. Very strong rumors, him going to the Dolphins. Do you think Tua will land in L.A. or go as high as Washington or maybe to Jacksonville?
Well, I certainly hope he doesn't go to the hole that is Jacksonville. But one thing you got to understand, over the past year or even longer, we've all been fed the either tank for Tua campaign for him to go to the Dolphins, or this great love affair that the Dolphins supposedly have with Tua Tagovailoa. But my question to you, gentlemen, is who actually started this? The Dolphins themselves, or is it the media and the fans that started this? Is there actual strong interest like is being projected upon us from the Dolphins? You have to ask yourself that question. To be honest, I feel like that Justin Herbert will be the guy that the Dolphins select. And to echo what Steven said, I believe he will be the Chargers. I just think that he is a fit there. He has better weapons. The biggest thing to me is the wide receiver weapons. They already have people in place. And also he's coming to a situation, which Steven just mentioned, which is really important. There's a veteran there that can start right away and that he can learn from. He doesn't have to be rushed into being the franchise's savior like he would presumably with the Dolphins. And I just think that he just enters a much better situation. And, he's close to home being in L.A. I just think that he fits there, and I think he'll thrive there.
Steven, of course, the whole issue with Tua is his injuries and also coaches not able to see him in person, only be able to see him through video. I believe they've had some video conferencing and able to see him, but it's not the same. Do you think that's why there's doubts on Tua, or do you think there just isn't? Maybe just a Miami thing?
I feel like there are legitimate doubts. There's I'm getting tongue tied here, and the legitimate doubts are when you go through 4 to 5 huge surgeries, and for Tua, you look at both ankles, a knee, and the dislocated right hip against Mississippi State last season. Also, he fractured his hand 1 year as well. When you go through that amount of injuries and the amount of surgeries he's had to have, of course, owners and general managers, they look at their billion-dollar franchise, their billion-dollar industry, and they talk amongst themselves and they think, do we really want to invest our billion-dollar baby, invest all of this money into a guy that we don't know, with his hip being metal now, with the first big hit he takes, does he fold completely? And we wasted a lot of money on getting this guy in. So the high risk is there, but there's also potential for high reward because, let's just be honest for a second here. When you discuss Carson Wentz, who came out of South Dakota State, he had a lot of injuries. He had some injuries in college. He's got to the NFL. He's had some injuries with the Eagles, but do the Eagles for a second guess drafting Carson Wentz? Of course they don't. And then you have Deshaun Watson of the Clemson Tigers, who had ACL knee problems in college. He comes to the NFL. He's had some issues with the Texans. But the Texans do not negate or do not regret drafting Deshaun Watson. You even look at the likes of Drew Brees. I mean, Brees, the San Diego Chargers, when he had that shoulder injury years back, and people felt like he would never play again, he goes to the New Orleans Saints and married with that fan base and that franchise, and lo and behold, the Super Bowl comes out of it, and he's going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer upon his career being done. So injuries are a part of football. Yes, there is a risk there, but life is about taking risk. It's just a thing. Who is the team desperate enough to say, yes, Tua's had injuries, yes, Tua's had medical problems, but we are a franchise that we are in dangerous need of playoff runs, of Super Bowls, of putting butts in seats. Most importantly, we're desperate for somebody that can change the paradigm of our organization.
Justin, Tua's stock hasn't fallen below fifth. There might have been some analysts that might have put him in Jacksonville, but do you think his injuries are a big risk and an issue?
Well, anytime you have injuries of that magnitude, it definitely is a risk. It's going to cause you to take a step back because there's just so much uncertainty. But the thing is, you can't sit back and make decisions on what ifs. You know, he could end up getting hurt from the get-go and not able to play to that level ever again. Or he could come to the league and just set the league on fire and be that next Drew Brees. You know, there is some doubt there. The thing is, though, these franchises who are in position to draft a quarterback of his caliber, they also have to sit there and ask themselves do we pass on this guy? And if we do, who else in this draft has a ceiling as high as Tua Tagovailoa? Who is going to be better? Who is going to be conceivably that guy who's going to take us out of the cellar and into the playoffs and into a possible Super Bowl? Yes, the video that we have recently seen has shown a lot, and no, it doesn't give people an idea of what will happen when he takes that hit. That's just something we're just going to have to witness ourselves when it does happen. But the thing is, the mechanics are there, the explosion and his movements are there. He's able to move very well, very fluid. Doesn't look like there's any kind of hitch in his giddy up, if you will. And he can shift the weight well. And the thing is, that explosion you're seeing in these videos, if there are underlying problems still with his hip, he wouldn't be able to perform those movements. So there's a lot of positive going on here. But as far as whether or not he can take a hit, well, you can ask that question about any player relatively in the draft right now. Anybody could take that next hit that could put them down.
Yeah, but doesn't it come to like decision making? Do you think there's been whole argument about Carson Wentz needs to make better decisions, when to slide, when not to take that tackle? Do you think Tua needs to learn that?
Well, I think that Tua makes better decisions than Carson Wentz. Now, I will also say Tua Tagovailoa actually needs to work on holding the ball a little too long. That's something that kind of continued to linger throughout his career at Alabama. He's got to do better than that. But I just think he's a sharper decision maker than Carson Wentz overall.
Steven?
I agree with what Justin mentioned. And another thing with Tua is understanding the idea of you got to consistently take what the defense is providing you. During Tua's time at Alabama, he always had the saying, and the saying was, yes, I'll take what the defense gives me, but I'm never going to go broke turning a profit, which in Tua's language it would be, I will take what the defense gives me, but if the defense is going to give me Jerry Jeudy on a post pattern or Henry Ruggs on a slant route, or Jalen Waddle running a drag across the middle of the field, and I trust my guy more so than the competitor, and I know my guy is capable of catching this pass, breaking a tackle, and hightailing it to the house, why would I not take that opportunity? That's kind of how Tua's wired, is I've got to make the big play on every single opportunity. And in the NFL, he's got to get the gist of, even though you don't make the big play every single time, that's not a detriment. Just continue to matriculate the ball down the field. That's Tua's big thing, is understanding not having the big play every single time is not a terrible thing.
Something to definitely look at. Of course, LA Chargers would be a good spot in my opinion. They have a lot. They have a better O line and a good offensive weapons. Let's go into the other Alabama players. Let's go with Jedrick Willis. Justin, where do you think he'll land? Which round?
Well, it's not any question that it's going to be anything other than the first round. Now, right now, there are some people across the board saying he actually could be picked as low as 4 or as high as 4 to the Giants,
Wow.
which that would definitely take care of a glaring need for the Giants, even though I'm sure Giants fans are just begging for a big playmaker. But the thing is, if you don't have somebody up front blocking so those playmakers can get the ball, it doesn't matter whether or not you have the flashy receiver. But a lot of people also, too, they're talking and they're saying that he may go to the Cardinals, which the Cardinals still need to take care of that offensive line. So right now, a lot of folks are leaning towards the Cardinals, which I think that probably would be the best fit for him. But, yeah, he doesn't go past, I say, the top 10.
Steven, where do you think Jedrick Willis will go?
I actually have Jedrick right smack dab at number 8 to the Arizona Cardinals. The Cardinals who had a great offseason. You bring in DeAndre Hopkins for next to nothing to join Larry Fitzgerald, Christian Kirk, and Pharaoh Cooper. You get Kenyon Drake back. You get you a perennial All-Pro, a 15-year potential guy, and Jedrick Wills to protect Kyler Murray so that he could continue to do the things that he does well. So at 8, I would say Wills to Arizona.
Let's go on to the weaponry. Jerry Jeudy, Justin Riley, a fantastic wide receiver, very talented. Came out with a video, I think, this week. Where do you think he'll go?
Well, to be honest with you, for me, it's one of 2 landing spots. Either the San Francisco 49ers or the Denver Broncos. I think that's one of 2 places that he would thrive in.
How about the Jets?
Well, the Jets as well, but will he actually last to the Jets? The Jets they just lost a big-time receiver, so they're going to need a home run threat. But I really think it's going to go between the Niners and the Broncos.
Stephen Smith, where do you have Jeudy going?
Give me 15 to Denver, baby. Give me 15 to Mile High in Denver, because John Elway believes he's finally hit on the quarterback in Drew Lock. You've got 2 running backs. You brought over Melvin Gordon to join Phillip Lindsay, so that's a great backfield. You have Noah Fant at tight end. You've got a young guy in Cortland Sutton already at wide receiver. I think Jeudy goes to Denver at 15 and gives Drew Lock more weapons.
Let's go to Henry Ruggs. Obviously, there is some debate online that he could go first in Jerry Jeudy. Justin, where do you have Henry going?
Man, Henry Ruggs is definitely the guy who is trending upward, man. He's becoming that flavor of the week guy, but, he also has the talent and the ability to back it up. And this is a guy that we all know who can absolutely flat out fly. But, man, he's a stud in every step of the game. He's a guy that can outrun even the most stingiest defenders. I mean, if you look at this past season, man, he made Christian Fulton look like a complete and total fool.
Made him look stupid.
Yeah, just flat out stupid. I was being very generous there.
Which is how you say it in Tuscaloosa.
But this is a guy who will get the job done in every phase of the game. He'll play special teams if you need him to. He's an excellent route runner. I just feel like that he will eventually be that total package, man. And actually, the funny thing is, here recently, for those of us who are old school, an NFL analyst compared him to Isaac Bruce.
Wow.
that's a pretty big comparison.
That's pretty high, man. That's a big bar.
And I'll say this: the guy that did it, Justin, was Greg Cosell, who's been doing NFL films for 41 years.
Really?
So
Right.
if there's anybody that knows the game of football, it would be Greg Cosell.
Right, man, and that I grew up watching Isaac Bruce, so man, that's a pretty big
Comparison.
big comparison there, man. I love it. But to be honest with you, yeah, he could be the first guy taken. Right now, I'm thinking he's either going to land with the Raiders, and if the Broncos don't get Judy, he can land with the Broncos. So one of those two landing spots, I'm really looking for him to be a part of.
Steven, where do you have Ruggs going?
This one is so hard because he could go to the Raiders at 12. He could go to the Eagles at 21 that need a quick twitch receiver. He could go to the Saints at 24. He could go to the Packers at 30 to help out with Devontae Adams and Aaron Rodgers. But if I was to say this, give me the Saints at 24.
I like that.
I really believe.
Are you a Saints fan? That's why you're saying that?
I'm telling you this. If you're Drew Brees and Sean Payton right now, you're praying to God that Henry Ruggs falls to 24 because you put Henry Ruggs with Michael Thomas.
Man.
You're giving Drew Brees the biggest thank you on the face of the planet.
Greatest show on turf.
You know, it's funny you mentioned that. Michael Thomas did make a comment about Henry Ruggs, and it was very favorable. Maybe there's something brewing there. He could be on to something.
Let's go on to Trayvon Diggs. Justin, where do you have him going?
Man, that's a guy that I really like right there. You know, man, he could go
the Ravens.
Man, I love it there. I'd love to have him there, but I don't think that he'll be there. Thinking either he's going to go to the Jaguars, who desperately need some corner help, or he'll end up going to the Eagles.
Steven, where do you have Trayvon Diggs going?
As much as I like both of those guys, and both of those picks, which I like both of those spots, but for me, give me Trayvon Diggs to the Vikings. The Vikings will lose a Diggs and gain a Diggs.
Oh, that'd be awesome storyline.
I think they'll lose a Diggs and gain a Diggs. Give me Trayvon to the Minnesota Vikings. They need to continue helping out on that defensive side of the football, making sure that they're keeping that area strong, especially as tough as the NFC North is. So Diggs to Minnesota.
Let's go to the non-flashy players. Xavier McKinney. Justin, where do you think he's going?
Non-flashy? What do you mean non-flashy? That guy is a baller. That guy's a straight gamer, man. That's somebody that you desperately need in your defense. He is a great leader in that defense. He is one of the few bright spots that really held the defense together last year, and with a defense that was very uncharacteristic and undisciplined team for Saban. Matter of fact, Xavier McKinney was all over the field, and he had to make up for what a lot of people were lacking in. So, don't say he's not flashy. That guy is very important.
Completely got robbed the Jim Thorpe Award.
Absolutely, wasn't even nominated. See, this is what ticks me off. He wasn't nominated for it, let alone didn't win it, and he outperformed Delpit statistically as well as on the field in his contributions. But yet he was denied. So a little bit fired up about that. So, but we'll see in the NFL. But one thing I hate though is that he wasn't able to have a pro day to work on his 40 again, because he did run a 4.6 at the combine. That was mainly because of an injury. So we really didn't get to see how fast he is. But if you go back and you look at some of the videos he's putting out, he looks very, very quick, very fast, very explosive. So I like him. I love to see him go. Man, he'll probably end up the Dolphins, but I wish that somehow that the Cowboys could come up and get him.
Stephen Smith, where do you think Xavier McKinney will go?
especially I like the Cowboys at 17. Give me McKinney to the Patriots at 23.
Wow.
Give
I've
me
not heard of
Wow.
that.
give me McKinney to New England. Patrick Chung will be 33, 34 in the upcoming season. Devin McCourty's getting up there. They re-signed him, but only to a 1 to 2 year deal. Of course, Belichick loves defensive players, especially those from Alabama. You can see Dante Hightower is still there. McKinney, 23 to New England.
Justin, do you concur that he can go to the Patriots?
Well, yeah, it absolutely makes sense. I mean, he just brought up several key things right there. And he's that youth they need, and he's that field general they need. And if you pair him up with Dante Hightower, good grief. But also, too, don't be surprised if the Seahawks tried to nab him.
That's not a bad place to go. Let's go on to Terrell Lewis. Stephen Smith, where do you think he'll go?
T. Lou, where do I see for Terrell Lewis? Pick 28, Baltimore Ravens.
Wow.
Oh,
That's Justin's team, by the
yeah.
way.
Yes.
Pick 28, Baltimore, because once again, the Ravens, you lose Terrell Suggs. Who's the guy that can kind of remind you of Terrell Suggs? It would be Terrell Lewis.
Yep.
A guy that can rush off the edge, a guy that can clean the quarterback's clock. He actually got better last season in setting the edge, stopping the run, not allowing things outside on the perimeter. He's battled through some injuries, so hopefully he can remain healthy. But as far as his speed, his explosion, and his first step to the quarterback, Terrell to Baltimore with John Harbaugh, sense right there.
Justin, did you have Terrell Lewis going to the Ravens?
Yeah, well, actually, I have him going there. Well, the thing is, I'm a Ravens homer, so I'm going to say that.
Every player goes to the Ravens.
Because we desperately, desperately need that alpha dog playing linebacker, playing edge for us right now, because we don't have that guy. And, they're just they don't have the confidence in Jalen Ferguson or Tyus Bowser. Yeah, they did some good things, but they weren't consistent enough to really gain the confidence of the Ravens faithful and the coaching staff, man. That dude is a menacing beast, man. And if it weren't for the injury concerns, and he had some major ones, he probably would be a top 10 pick right now. There's no question. And a lot of people really have been debating me on this very subject. I still think he's worthy of a first-round pick. So I'm saying he's either going to go to the Ravens, which I am hoping and praying he will, or he'll end up going to the Falcons, which is a team that desperately needs somebody like him.
And who got some new jerseys today? Stephen Smith, Raekwon Davis. Where do you think he'll be going?
This is the big enigma.
Is it?
Because
come on.
Because after his sophomore year, where he exploded in 2017 for 8.5 sacks, 10 tackles for loss, his junior and senior year, despite being 6'7" and 313 pounds, this is somebody who only combined for 2 sacks in the last 2 years. So the production certainly was not there. Mm-hmm. People still kind of have him as a first rounder based on his size. I kind of have him as a second rounder. And within that second round, I kind of have him as a second rounder. Give me second round to the New York Jets.
Oh, well.
Second round to the New York Jets. He'll join Quinnen Williams, somebody of whom will, help him out. He'll join Leonard Williams, another guy that will be an asset on that defensive front. So second round to the Jets at pick 48.
Justin, who you have for Raekwon Davis? Where is he going to lay his head at?
Well, to piggyback off what Steven just mentioned, had this been the 2018 draft, Davis would have been selected in the top 10, because after a year like he had in that coming out party, I mean, he was on everybody's minds, man, and he would have definitely been a top 10 pick. However, like he said, man, his last 2 years, he just has dropped off. I mean, there are even times where I forgot he was playing, to be honest with you. And so that just kind of concerns me. But the thing is, so many people still believe in him, and he still has this tremendous upside.
Steve does.
he still has it. It's still there. And a lot of people think this because he has rare length and he's got that mass, great wingspan. He can be a problem in passing lanes, can just knock things down. He sets the edge well, and he can shut down gaps by himself. So,
my man, yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead, Justin. Which team is he going?
I wouldn't be surprised if someone took a chance in the first round, but if I'm being realistic,
doesn't sound like
I'm saying second or third round, and I'm going to go. I'm going to go to the Cowboys or the Detroit Lions, who really need help up front.
You've been saying the Cowboys too much. Go ahead, Steve. Sorry.
I like Detroit because with Detroit, he would be reunited with guys like Deshaun Hand and Reggie Ragland.
Oof.
That's right. Absolutely, man.
Justin had to think about that. He didn't remember those guys.
So, hey, man, and that might be what revives him and gets him back to being that guy, being that dude, being with his teammates again, man. So, yeah, I mean,
he needs motivation, Justin.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And here's another thing too. Bo Davis is there, so a former coach.
Boom.
Justin,
so that could be a marriage that might work.
50% chance there. Okay, Justin, Anthony Jennings. Where do you think he'll be going?
Okay, this is a guy that I absolutely just love, man. I mean, this guy is just he was a face of a defense, and he was a guy that we just relied on to come up big when we need him to be. The biggest thing about him, I love about him, is just sheer brute strength, man. And that's what's on the minds of everybody across the board. He's very difficult to move vertically, and it seems that whenever he goes up against anybody, he always has that upper hand. When he's not getting to the quarterback, he's still very disruptive in throwing lanes. And at any moment, he can knock down balls that are foolishly thrown his way. And so he's a guy I feel like is going to be in the league for a long time. Some people compared him to Kyle Van Noy, which is a very good comparison. This is a guy who's very disruptive, and I like him a lot. I like him going in the third or fourth round to the Lions.
Wow, it's always the Lions, Cowboys, or Ravens. It seems like they're like the top three.
Well, these are guys who need defense.
Wow, Ravens need defense. Stephen Smith, Anthony Jennings. Who do you got? What does your gut tell you?
Anthony Jennings. Right now, this is somebody that I built a close friendship with during his time playing here. 12.5 tackles for loss last season, 8 sacks. Of course, Justin laid out the productivity that he brings to the table. I got him early second round, pick 40 to the Houston Texans.
Wow.
He's going to Houston.
Hey.
He's more optimistic than Justin for sure.
No, it's not.
Come on, Justin. You had him in the fourth round. That's pretty. Come on, man. You're mean.
Mean? No, I love it. I love him in the second round. And my full love guy, the Texans, a got to get some help on that defense.
You don't want to go to Texans. I don't think they're going to do much this year.
No, but, sitting the Anthony there helps things out for sure.
Okay, let's go to Jared Maiden. Steven, who you got?
Woo! This is my boy right here. So Jared Maiden, definitely one of the more diverse guys. He didn't really get that chance to break out until his senior season, to which he shocked a lot of people with his amount of interceptions he had. He had 4 picks, which led the team. So Anthony Jennings here. Not Anthony Jennings.
Jared Maiden.
Jared Maiden. Give me Jared in the third round. I like Jared in the third round to the Carolina Panthers.
Wow.
Oh, okay.
Jared third round to Carolina. They haven't had kind of that diverse defensive back since Josh Norman. Norman's gone, but I think Jared Maiden could give you something that Norman couldn't give you, just due to Jared can play outside, he can play slot corner, he can play in the safety position. Now, when I spoke to him recently, he wants to play in the slot because he prides himself on being instinctive, on knowing how to manipulate receivers. So Jared, third round, Carolina, I can dig it.
And Justin has him going to the 5th round. Who you got?
Would you don't even say that? Are you serious?
Kid.
Man, I love Jared Maton too. He's a guy that I just really enjoy watching and developing his last year, and he really, like Stephen said, just had his best year. And this is a guy I've begun to really get to know, especially with his ability. Biggest thing is, and this is what's going to be said a lot, he has great versatility. He can play virtually any position at the back end of the defense. Great anticipation, great recognition. What I love about him, too, he's very physical, and he's going to attack downhill, and he can fill running alleys, too, man. I love his physicality, which is something that's really lacking in a lot of defensive backs these days. This guy's going – and one thing that I love about him, too, in addition to that, is that he is willing to sacrifice his body to deliver that big blow. Man, I love that. Love that. And one of the things I also love about him, too, is his ability as a leader to communicate. And he really was a strong leader in this defense this past season. And he has great technique, great fundamentals, just a real student of the game. So I'm going to follow what Steven said. I say 3rd round, and I feel that he'll be with either the Texans or the Giants.
Let's flip back to Justin. Shaheem Carter.
Man, I like him, man. He's very versatile, too. Of course, you have to be versatile if you're going to play for Nick Saban. You know, he's going to move you around a lot while you're there. He can play split safety, free safety, and nickel. But the scouts feel that he needs to put on a little bit of size to be a significant contributor. And one of the things that people have noticed, he has a little bit of tightness in his hips and tends to make transitions a little too slowly. But don't let it fool you, man. This is another guy that can lay the wood when he needs to. Very physical, great instincts, ability to gain depth. I love it. And he can limit pass catchers, man, in a window. So I love him, man. Great, aggressive player downfield. Also, too, if he needs to pick it off and take it to the house, he's going to do it. He's done it twice. And I'm liking him to go in the 3rd or 4th round to the Giants because they desperately need somebody at nickel. And let's just face it, Grant Haley isn't the answer. Neither is Corey Ballantyne.
Stephen Smith, Shaheem Carter, where do you got him going?
Carter, I remember 2016 where he had 10 pass breakups and 2 pick sixes. Really wanted to see him break out and have a monster season this past year. Unfortunately, that didn't happen, but very smart, cerebral, high IQ player. He learned a lot from Minkah Fitzpatrick prior to Minkah going to the NFL. When I look at Carter, kind of a smaller guy, but as Justin mentioned, he puts on the weight, could be very, very integral part of a defense. I got him 4th round, and I got him going to the Dallas Cowboys.
Man,
I think the Cowboys could.
This is a Cowboys.
It's a Cowboy show.
I think the Cowboys could use Shaheem as a slot nickel corner. He's a lot smarter and is a lot quicker his first step to what people give him credit for. He does not allow the inside a whole lot, and he forces you to throw over top of him. So in that nickel slot space in Dallas, could be intriguing.
There's Boomerang. Oh, wait. Let's go. Yeah, Boomerang back to Steve. Matt Womack.
Woo! This is the toughest one here because
It really is.
Womack came to Alabama in 2015. He started 2017, got his weight down to 297 pounds, was really a solid right tackle as a starter. Got hurt the spring of 2018, which allowed Jedrick Wills to beat him out. Still a very, very good prospect. He now has his weight back down, but I think not playing enough last year hurts him in terms of the draft. I don't see him drafted. I see him signed as an undrafted free agent. And he as a free agent, I can see him getting picked up by the New York Jets.
Wow. Goes into free agency. Justin, what are your prophecies for Matt Womack?
Privacy. So I like Womack. I mean, this is a guy who's been through a lot of adversity. Like Stephen mentioned, he started his career out very, very nicely. Just a great right tackle in 2017. Fortunately, injury happened, and ironically, he gave way to Jedrick Wills, and we all know who he is. So, and then he moved to right guard, but he still played in a limited role. But one thing I like about him, he's a great team player, incredible work ethic. That didn't slow him down, even though he faced adversity. Um, is able to carry all that, despite his circumstances, he's able to still carry that great attitude, that great work ethic, which is desperately needed in a locker room. Uh, yeah, he wasn't seen very much this past season and doesn't have a whole lot of tape, which that could hurt him. But one thing that he's really good at is playing for the run, and he can open up some holes. Big wide body, 6'7" offensive lineman. He did have a mock pro day, ran the 40 and 5 flat, and he pounded out 26 reps at 225 on bench press. So he's a solid player. I think he might be one of those diamonds in the rough that are going to go late. He could be undrafted, but I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt going 6th round to either the Giants or the Ravens.
Giants or Ravens, 6th round for Matt Womack. Guys, I'd like to ask you a general question. What do you guys think about this draft class from Alabama? Steven, what would you rate it compared to other classes?
No, it's not as high as compared to other classes, but there's still a lot of talent here, and the main thing is for this class, it kind of has that feeling of the guys that you don't think will go high could potentially sneak up on you and go high, and the ones that you think may go high could drop because, as Justin alluded to earlier, the draft process is very fickle. We've been fed things like, well, this guy's for sure a first rounder, this guy's for sure top 5, top 10. And then on draft night, the top 5, top 10 guy becomes a second rounder, and we're looking at the TV like, how did that happen? So it's one of those drafts where it's not as high as recent years for Alabama, but still a lot of talent.
Justin, how would you rate this 2020 class?
This is a very solid class across the board. And one thing is definitely very evident: the Saban dynasty is not over, despite the proclamations of a lot of people, those who are literally trying to will it to be over, which you can't do that.
Apparently, Oregon is the next big thing. Go ahead.
But here's the thing, they could realistically sneak 7 players in the first round. And that just speaks volumes of what this program is doing, and it's not slowing down. I really like this class. I think that any of these guys that we just mentioned can be solid starters, perhaps even Hall of Fame players, or be guys that just can contribute to their teams in a significant way for a lengthy period of time. Matter of fact, I'm going to go ahead and say that Anthony Jennings is probably going to be the steal of this draft to me. I really like this class.
Something to definitely look at. Of course, the NFL draft is April 23rd to 25th. It will be all virtual. The teams that will make the decisions will be in their basement or in their room. And, of course, the doubts is the internet connection, what if something goes through. But I'm sure the NFL will work out the kinks. It will be on ESPN and ABC. So something is one of the biggest sports events that you can think of. Steve, a little bit of a rapid-fire question. What are your thoughts about Justin Herbert?
Like the guy, big arm. Hopefully he can pan out in the league and show up every single week.
And who do you think would replace Nick Saban in Alabama if Nick Saban leaves in the next couple of years? Which current coach do you see that could replace him?
Ooh, man. You come on the spot with this one. Okay. I'm gonna go this way. I say Alabama brings Mario Cristobal home.
That's what Justin says.
Hey.
Wow, you guys have the same minds.
Either Mario Cristobal comes home, or we'll make a call north to Rocky Top and bring Pruitt back home.
Justin?
I can't disagree with that at all. How do you replace a Saban? You don't
It's
replace a
hard.
Saban. And the thing is,
Just ask Ray Perkins and Bill Curry. They had trouble replacing the Bear.
man, they ran Bill Curry out of there. Somebody threw a brick through his window because he lost 3 straight years to Auburn. I mean, so and yeah, Perkins had a hard time as well. But the thing is, man, you don't need some up and comer to come in here and replace him. You need a solid guy that can take on the pressure of being the next great coach and who's going to be able to withstand the constant comparisons to Nick Saban. And the obvious thing is we're not going to get Dabo Swinney. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah, because Clemson's going to charge him $10 million if he does.
Well, I mean, that's not even in consideration. The thing is, Clemson is his team, his legacy. That's where he's going to be. He's going to have a statue erected, maybe even 2 or 3. That's his place. Why come back to Alabama and be compared to Nick Saban? This is not going to happen.
He's not going to do that, yeah.
I like the idea of Cristobal to come back home. I love what he's doing with Oregon. I honestly believe he'll probably have Oregon in the college football playoff this coming season. He's elevating them to that status. And I've always loved Jeremy Pruitt as a coach, and I always have thought that he may be the next guy.
I like Mario Cristobal. Go ahead.
Now, here's a thought here. As crazy and as controversial as he is, Lane Kiffin.
Yeah, I was going to mention Lane.
I knew that was coming.
The Lane train. Why not, Justin?
And that's another thing, too. It can conceivably happen, if it comes up. And if Alabama approaches him, I'm sorry, Ole Miss Rebel fans, he ain't staying in Oxford. He is controversial, but I feel like he could probably take on that mantle of Alabama and possibly be good. I wouldn't hate it, but, I mean, those other 2 guys I like a lot more.
The future of Alabama is up in the open, but of course Nick Saban's still there, still has a job there, and still the number 2 recruiting class in college football. So they're still looking pretty as of right now. Justin wrote an article about NFL draft projections for Bama players outside of the first round. He spoke to a few players right now tonight. You can read that at thesportscast.net. Justin, when is your next article about Bama players in the first round?
Look forward to it towards the end of the week, but it is coming, and I'm excited to tackle that. So we got some flashy players, man. So there's plenty to talk about.
And, of course, you can follow us on the sportscast.net for all of the latest articles. There is a mock draft from Ty Turner that came out number 2. There's a few changes that I saw. He put Jerry Jeudy before Ruggs, so he definitely thought about it. I don't think that's going to be the right thing. Anyways, we're going to the ends of our show. Steven, what is the best way to reach you online?
The best way to reach me, I can be found on Twitter at Coaching M. Smith, on Twitter at Coaching M. Smith, and then In My Own Words, the podcast page is at In My Own Words TDA, as we're dropping snippets and all forms of content from the shows I've been able to do. And
also, can you tell us a little bit about that website, tdalabamamag.com? What do you guys talk about? Is it just football, or do you guys talk about Alabama softball?
Well, we talk about our whole thing is completely football, 24 hours a day. Me personally, I enjoy basketball, softball, other sports, but the site itself is a nonstop football. We cover the team. We are every practice, every press conference, every game. If Nick Saban was to sneeze, we're right there. So we got you covered in all things Crimson Tide football. The site, touchdownalabama.com. That's the site, touchdownalabama.com, at TD Alabama Mag on Twitter.
There you have it. And, Justin, what is the best way to reach you to talk to you about Anthony Jennings?
Well, first of all, I'm so glad, Stephen, that you are football 24/7, man. That is something that we definitely love and we need right now. And what's really refreshing is, man, you keep coming up with great topics, each time that you put content out. So I absolutely love that there's always something fresh, always something new. And I definitely love how that Mac Jones is gaining favor from you as well. And I love what you talked about as far as he goes. As far as reaching me, you can reach me at Justin Riley 7 on Twitter. I also help out with a Sportscast on Twitter as well as Instagram at the Sportscast 1. Another thing, Steven, I love you bring up basketball, brother. Nate Oates is doing some big things here. I'm liking what I'm
telling
seeing.
you, watch him in the next year or two.
Not this year.
Josh, no. Starting with this year, with Primo and these other guys. If we can get the kid from Yale, if we can get the kid from Yale to transfer in here.
Ivy League players. Justin, you had a poll on this weekend, and the poll question was, who is the best to ever play fullback for Alabama football? And the choices were Kevin Turner, Austin Fowler, Martin Houston, and Dustin McClintock. You got a lot of buzz and engagement. Tell me about that poll and why it got so much engagement.
Hold on. Are you serious, Justin?
Yeah, Justin, explain. I mean, what?
Did. Yeah, man, it was inspired. I was actually watching some clips of Justin Fowler. I was like, maybe I should put a little poll up there to see who Bama fans think was the greatest to ever play that position. And what I did after I made some choices, of course, there are so many great choices to really name on that list. And unfortunately, Twitter doesn't let me put more than 4. But what I did, I specifically tagged George Teague and Martin Houston because I know that they would respond because, they played against both Kevin Turner and they played against, of course, George Teague played against Martin in practice. And, they're very vocal guys about that. And, of course, they interacted and they got people interacting. And it became quite a popular topic, man. And, got a little humble because I left some people out that should have been included.
Like Terrence Lynch.
Terrence Lynch, man. If you're not an Alabama fan, you really don't understand how important he was that position in the early '90s. And to be honest with you, I'm shocked that he really never materialized in the NFL. Another guy that really ashamed of leaving out because I worked with the team when he was there, and that's LaRon McClain. I mean, he was an all-pro for the Ravens at that position. Tremendous football player. And the thing is, too, man, you really can't limit it to overall. You really do need to make a poll of who was the greatest of each decade because there have been some great ones.
Of course, the results was Kevin Turner winning at 58%.
Wow.
Yeah.
Austin Fowler at 28.2, Martin Houston 17.9, and Dustin at 3.8.
Wow, McClintock only got 4 votes, 4% of the vote.
I put him because despite his off the field antics and he cared more about partying than he did football, he was a really good fullback. He was there when I first got to university. Was definitely great. As far as matching, pairing up with Sean Alexander, just a sheer, brute of a man. If he would have focused more on football, he probably could have been in the NFL a lot longer than he was.
Steven, would you agree with these choices, or who would you switch from these choices?
I agree with those choices. I'm just shocked that McClintock didn't get more love there. Now, LaRon McClain really liked when he played, really enjoyed watching him play. I got a chance to cover Charleston Fowler, and in my heart of hearts, if Fowler would have never gotten hurt, how much bigger he could have been.
Oh, because,
Charleston Fowler was an absolute load. And then, of course, Kevin Turner, phenomenal. I mean, Kevin Turner was outstanding. So there have been a lot of great fullbacks that have come through the University of Alabama, and just an idea that I had for the upcoming season is potentially taking Brian Robinson and make him a fullback.
That's something I thought of myself, and thought about this past season too. But it would work, brother.
Great minds think alike, right, Justin?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm just saying, just put B-Rob right there. Have some plays scripted out for him, and let's let the likes of Najee, Trey Sanders, and Keelan Robinson take this thing over.
Well, anyways, you can follow those polls at the via the Sportscast Twitter at the Sportscast1, the Sportscast1, or you can go to our website, thesportscast.net, thesportscast.net, and you can see our social media icons. Listen to the podcast. This show is in a podcast format, so if you want to listen to what Steven said, you could definitely go into the podcast and see what he says. But this was a great Alabama podcast. We went a little bit overboard, I think hour and a half, which is fine. Times like these are very rare. Any closing words, Steven?
No, I just appreciate you guys for taking time out of your Tuesday to feature me and my antics today.
You're awesome. And Justin, what are your closing words? Obviously, we found out that you and Steven share like minds. I'm not sure if it's like every Alabama fan, but what are your closing words?
Yeah, Bama brothers, it's that family, man. We got that connection. No, first and foremost, got to thank you for being here, Stephen, man. Just great having you. And like I said earlier in the show, just love what you're doing with TD Alabama Mag. I love what you're doing with In My Own Words. I love the content you're putting out there. And it definitely is satisfying the itch that we're all having while there are no live sports going on. You're keeping sports alive, and you're keeping the most important sport in a lot of our minds in the South alive, and that's football. So I thank you for that. But yeah, it's great to be on here. Great to put out content for folks, give something to talk about. With Alabama football, there's always something to talk about. Excited about this draft, and I really like what these Alabama players will potentially be for years to come.
And just in quick 15 seconds, how was WrestleMania on Sunday night? Who won and what happened?
Well, as crazy as it sounds, man, WrestleMania was absolutely incredible without the crowds. I know that's really hard to say because a lot of wrestling is the energy of the crowds, the fans, and just the atmosphere. And somehow the WWE was able just to reinvent themselves and just be very creative during this time where they didn't have that, and they had to modify everything because of COVID. One of the things that really just blew me away was the Ageless Undertaker and his Boneyard match with AJ Styles. If you hadn't watched that, if you're a wrestling fan, shame on you, but I definitely recommend people go back and see that. Incredible. And then of course, the Undertaker came out on top, as he should have. Sunday was probably my favorite day. John Cena's match with Bray Wyatt, absolutely phenomenal. Just a little unorthodox, but it's something that we hadn't seen before, and it's really hard to put into words other than it was just incredible storytelling. Love both those guys and what they've done for the business. Biggest thing of the night, Brock Lesnar went down to Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre, after 11 years, is finally the WWE champion, and I think it's a little too late, but if they do what they're supposed to do, they need to keep the title around his waist. But yeah, man, as a wrestling fan, you're really pleased, and it's really cool to see some live sporting event going on. It may not be everybody's cup of tea, but it's something, and it's really helping things out right now.
And of course, Gronk did win his first belt that night, and congrats to him. NFL players doing well in wrestling. Anyways, you can reach us at thesportscast.net, thesportscast.net. We do have some wrestling articles and also other sports, but that's what's keeping things alive is football and wrestling. Who would have thought? I would have thought golf should be played because I don't think they need people, but that's just my humble opinion. Anyways, Justin Riley, Stephen Smith, I appreciate you guys coming on to the Sportscast.
Glad to do it.
This was fantastic.